let's get you the global stories and of course the kind of move we've seen in US markets. US on a relative basis, in fact, US market has been the best performing market so far if you talk about FY25. But then you talk about now S&P's latest target, and now upbeat view has come in from the brokerages on the S&P 500. Now Morgan Stanley has hiked their 12-month base case price target to 6,500. According to the note, the firm expects the recent broadening in US earnings growth to continue in 2025 as well as Federal Reserve cuts interest rates into next year and as business cycle indicators improve further. Now, they also remain bullish on quality cyclicals, noting that financials remain their favored overweight following an upgrade in early October.
Well, absolutely. Moving on then, well, that was the roundup coming in for equities. Nomura no longer expects the Federal Reserve to cut rates in its December meeting. Remember, this marks the global firm to signal a pause in the central bank's rate cut cycle amid Donald Trump's election win. Nomura now also expects the Fed to deliver only 225 basis point rate reductions at its March and June meetings in 2025, leaving the brokerage's Fed funds rate projection unchanged at 4.125% through the next year itself. Now, important to note here that Goldman Sachs as well as JP Morgan are in anticipation of a 25 basis point rate cut from the central bank next month as well.
Meanwhile, shares of Tesla, that one rallied following reports that US President-elect Donald Trump may be looking to a federal framework to regulate self-driving vehicles, a top priority for the US Transport Department. Remember, framework for regulating self-driving vehicles would be a major boon to Tesla, which has been promising fully self-driving vehicles for several years but has failed to deliver on those lines.
Then moving on, plane maker Boeing will be laying off 2,500 employees in the US states of Washington, Oregon, South Carolina and Missouri. Remember, layoffs are part of a plan to cut 17,000 jobs globally, or 10% of its workforce. The company, it is believed, can also use workforce attrition, selective hiring and sales of subsidiaries to reduce workforce. Shares gained a little over 2% in yesterday's session.
Like we reported earlier also that the key trigger would come in from Nvidia also. Nasdaq and S&P both closed higher. Street eyes quarterly earnings from AI leader Nvidia. The chip giant reports third quarter earnings tomorrow, that's on Wednesday, wherein investors will assess demand for chips and the sustainability of the AI euphoria that drove much of the market's rally this year. Meanwhile, Walmart was lukewarm in trade ahead of the retail giant's Q3 results, with retail sentiment inching up. Results, of course, being closely watched. Insights into the impact of rising consumer prices on overall consumer sentiment as shoppers from all income levels.
Then moving on, US President Joe Biden in a first has given the green light for the use of long-range missiles for Ukraine to fire into Russia. These missiles are expected to be deployed into the Kursk region. Reportedly, Biden's decision also comes as Russia escalates its aggression, including a massive drone and missile attack targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure as well. In fact, we did have Ukrainian president who also reacted to saying that such things are not announced. Missiles speak for themselves and that these missiles will bring quote-unquote glory to Ukraine. Let's go across and listen in to what exactly he then had to say.
Сьогодні був один з найбільших та найбільш небезпечних за всю війну російських ударів. 210 дронів і ракет одразу, в тому числі гіперзвукова та аеробалістичні. Більшість цілей, на щастя, вдалося збити. Мішенню для Росії була саме енергетика, критична інфраструктура. І це відповідь усім, хто хотів чогось досягти з Путіним розмовами, телефонними дзвінками, обіймами, умиротворенням. План посилення України – це план перемоги, який я представив партнерам. Одним з головних пунктів є далекобійність для нашої армії. Сьогодні багато в медіа говорять про те, що ми отримали дозвіл на відповідні дії. Але удари завдають не словами. Такі речі не анонсують. Ракети самі за себе скажуть. Обов'язково. Слава Україні!
All right, now moving on. In the meantime, Brazil's President Lula opened the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro yesterday. The summit was launched with a global alliance to combat poverty as well as hunger. He emphasized on harmful impacts of climate change across the globe and called upon world leaders to show boldness in taking necessary action. PM Modi was welcomed by Brazilian President at the summit. PM Modi met Joe Biden also, UN Secretary General Antonio also, and as well as Prime Minister Lawrence Wong of Singapore on the sidelines of the event.
Alright, then it's the smog season.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.